Well, hello there, my friends. Welcome to Boomer Time. It's Nancy Cogar here, and I am so very glad that you are here today. I have a very special guest, and I have been looking forward to our time together. This is, and she may be familiar to you already, Ms. Tabi Upton, who you are a real fixture in the community here, so I'm sure people know you, and I'm just so glad that you're here.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for saying that about me. I just try to be helpful, and I love engaging the community in all kinds of ways.
That is obvious, and I just want to brag on you a little bit. So you are a weekend radio host for J103, so we hear you all the time, and you also are involved with several nonprofits. You are promoting and connecting the community with the CHATT Foundation, which stands for the Center for Homeless Advancement for Today and Tomorrow. And, you know, it doesn't take long to see that we've got a real homeless problem here in the community.
That's right.
Yeah. And you are also a trained mental health counselor and represent Integrate Christian Counseling as the community engagement coordinator. Well, they chose well with that one, so.
I appreciate you. You're making me feel great.
Well, good. That's what we do on Boomer Time. So tell me a little bit about your work that you do. People may not know that you're a mental health counselor that's been through that training. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's a lot to you.
Yes. Well, just historically, that was my first career. I'm on my third career right now. My first career was as a mental health counselor. I was licensed for about 16 years. I worked with children at the beginning, children who were coming out of the foster care or juvenile justice system, who were adopted maybe out of that. That was half my caseload. And then when I went into private practice, I worked with adults and families as well. And the last part of my career was spent working with the military, working with military families, especially their children. So that was great. Loved every minute of it. But I took a hard left and I went into Christian radio for about 7.5 years with a live radio show, and now continue as a weekend host. And then more recently began working with this nonprofit, the largest nonprofit in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that works with the homeless.
Well, and, you know, as I mentioned, it's obvious that we have a problem. And, you know, you and I were talking, and a lot of it has to do with mental illness, right?
That's right. About a third of those who are homeless are struggling with a mental health diagnosis. But I say 100% of those who are homeless are dealing with trauma and just emotional issues from being homeless. And so I do try to stay connected to mental health. And I do that through Integrate Counseling Center, just advocating for what they do. They do a lot of work with trauma and feedback and things like that to help people.
Well, and as we were talking before the show, and so you know out there, we're going to put some information on the website, nancycogar.com. So we can put some more information about what Integrate does and how you can get in touch with them.
That'll be great.
You know, we want to make those connections for people. So thank you for all you do.
Sure. Thank you for what you're doing. This topic is super important.
Well, aging is me. So, so we boomers out there, I'm right on the cusp. But so we're going to talk about aging from a mental health standpoint. And then also an important piece of that is caregiving.
Yes.
Because we're finding that more often than not, for a variety of reasons, adult children end up assuming or getting nominated or put into a role as caregiver.
Yeah. Well, I like to call it voluntold.
Yes.
You're voluntold to do this.
You know how those parents can be.
Yes.
So tell me, from your perspective, you know, these are not easy things to talk about. We talk about that a lot on the show. And of course, I always talk as a lawyer, the importance of planning, but they're just plain old difficult things to talk about.
Yes.
You know, how do you do that?
You know, one of the things that I appreciate about my father, who passed away in 2020, was that he said to us since we were young, I have a brother and a sister, and he would say to all of us, dying is inevitable. We're all going to die. It's just a part of life. It's okay. So what he did by talking about that when maybe I lost my grandparents and aunts and uncles, he normalized it so that we were not all shocked or always avoidant of things dealing with death and dying. And I just feel like that is so important. It has helped me manage when I've lost people. But I think sometimes people have avoided talking and thinking about dying so much that it becomes overwhelming when the time comes to actually deal with it.
Yeah, there's a tendency, I think, and I'm guilty of this too. You get busy in your life and you're caring for other people and something happens and you just want to stuff it down. Stuff it down. I'll deal with that later.
Yes.
But sooner or later, there's no more room to stuff it down, I would think.
That's right. You've got to deal with these things and they don't have to always be heavy or even sad. Sometimes this is so counterintuitive and countercultural, but sometimes death is a grace. And we have been taught to always view it as negative. It is not always negative. And a lot of times people are ready to go and they have things they're looking forward to, such as seeing God, seeing other loved ones in heaven. And it's the people who are being left behind who are holding onto their feet, when they're trying to be released. And so I think just the way we frame things in our minds it's so important.
Yeah. So important. You're right. That's such a good point. And, in my book, Boomer Time Blueprint, which we were talking about that too. I do talk about being a person of faith.
Yes.
And you're a person of faith. And that changes things too.
Very much so, because you have that hope and you know that this is not the end of the road.
Right. So,
but yet here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Well, I am glad you are here. And we are going to just take a quick break. And then will you stick with me and we'll come back and we'll talk more about this.
Sounds good.
Good. Thank you. Welcome back, my friends. We are with Tabi Upton this week, and I am excited to have you here. And you are just so vibrant in your, even in your presence. It's so obvious that you are just passionate about what you do.
Wow. So, thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
I just try to feel what's really there. And sometimes it's not pleasant. I've been through depression, anxiety, just like most people have, but also trying to move towards joy.
Yeah. Yeah. That grounding, that mindset is so important. As I mentioned before the break, I do have a book out, Boomer Time Blueprint. And it's so often people say to me that they don't know where to start. They don't know how to bring something up. And for that reason, I have a lot of conversation starters, in the book and on the website to try to help those, not necessarily scripts, but, icebreakers and questions that you might ask. And I'm hoping that those are helpful to people. So I had a similar question for you because in addition to that, they say 60% of people have no estate planning in place. That's no powers of attorney, no will, no end of life directive, nothing that can authorize a loved one to make decisions for you, if you're not able to make those decisions.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I think that kind of circles back to the not bringing it up.
Yes.
So what would you recommend for somebody out there that, thinks about this, but hasn't really addressed it with their family?
Yeah. One of the things I would say is that if you are the matriarch or the patriarch, if you're maybe the oldest living person and you're thinking clearly and you're doing really well, go ahead and start to think about how can I make the end of my life easier on those that love me. I think if you can think of it that way, this is for them. I want to give them the gift of making this transition as smooth as possible. I want to make sure that they stay friends through this, even if they're
I've
already
seen
siblings.
A lot of things where people not
Stop
friends
talking
and
to each other. Yes, leave each other out of the obituary. This happens because people are stressed when they're about to lose someone, and all those childhood issues, a sibling rivalry, mom was your favorite, I always have to do the hard stuff. All those things come to the surface because they're unresolved. So if you are the leader of the family, try to gather your chicks around you and say, hey, I'm going to not be here in a few years, because that's the way of life here on planet Earth. And this is what I want, how I want you guys to deal with that. And this is what I need your help with. And let's dive into this. And it doesn't mean you're going to pass tomorrow. So you don't have to be afraid. Every day that we're alive, we're about to die, right? We don't know when we're going
closer.
to. Yeah, we're one step closer to it the moment we come here. So it's not that all of a sudden you come into this arena where you're going to die. No, we've all been here. We're always there. So as we get up in age, it's really time to go ahead and take those steps. Now I'm talking to myself as well.
Sure.
I have dragged my feet because I don't have children. So I kept thinking, well, I mean, I can leave it to my nieces and nephews or leave my property, but I do need to tighten those strings up too, because I need end of life directives. I will jokingly tell people, I've told my family, hey, just cremate me, spread my ashes on Lake Chickamauga, or put me in a bottle and let me travel the world, because I love to travel. So I have told them stuff like that and just tried to keep it light. But I think we hold back because we think if we start planning, it's imminent.
Yeah, there is some of that. When you talked about it being a gift to family, that is definitely true. I will tell you that when people come to me, a lot of times the first thing they'll say to me is, I'm doing this because I don't want to leave the mess that my family left for me with my kids.
Wow. And that's hard because it's already a difficult time, and the messier it is, the harder it is. Yeah. So we want to try to do as much as we can.
Some peacemaking in there that could be done.
Yes.
So the other piece of this, of course, is the caregivers, which is one of the most stressful things anybody can do, because you're taking care of a loved one. You're in a position that you're not used to. You're not a healthcare professional. You're not getting paid.
Yes.
And it's your parent, most times. So that's uncomfortable just to start for most people.
Yes, it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I have some experience with that, very limited. My mother was the caregiver for my father in the probably year and a half before he passed. He was a vibrant man. My father was a pastor, a missionary, a speaker, a teacher, and he was a friendly, gregarious personality. He was fearless.
I can't imagine that.
And I was a daddy's girl, so I still am.
Well, I'm glad.
So to see his personality change because of dementia, and then also he had glaucoma, and it was caught too late. And so he went blind, mostly blind towards the end. My mom had to do a lot. My sister and I and brother helped her. We would give her respite. And I remember, and this may make some people uncomfortable, but this is just the reality of it. One time I had to bathe my father, and I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that we are here. And had to sometimes keep him inside, if he was wandering outside, where are you going? Or will you please come with me inside the store if I'm driving him somewhere? And he was being testy, and I would have to say, he loved chocolate. I love chocolate too. And I would say, if you do this, I will buy you a chocolate bar, know? So the roles were reversed. My mom was stressed out. She had never done that before. He was always her rock. Now she had to be the rock. So there's a lot of guilt and all kinds of things that go along with it.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was having lunch with a really good friend of mine who's a lawyer, and we hadn't seen each other in a while, but she's caring for her mother and I'm caring for my mother.
Okay.
And, the things that you're expected to do, I mean, no kind of disrespect with this, but a lot of times it's just kind of, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Trying to put the adult diapers in a Saks Fifth Avenue bag so nobody sees them, like maintaining that dignity, that face and dignity. Yeah. So, it just is what it is.
It is what it is. And it's hard, and it's okay to acknowledge it. It's okay to say, I don't like it. I don't want to be a caregiver. I had the gift of very honest parents. And I remember my mom saying, I love my husband, but I don't want to do this, and she was honest. That helps keep us healthy. She also attended some support groups, and you need that support. And if you have time, go to a counselor throughout that time, because
Right.
you need to take care of yourself just as much as you are taking care of that other person.
Right. I think people don't realize how stressful it
Yes,
really is.
It is stressful.
And sometimes it can cost you your own health.
That's right. Some caregivers go before the person they're giving care to because of that stress. So it's kind of like that. We've heard this a million times, but give yourself the oxygen first.
Yeah.
Make sure you are being supported in every area, how you eat, exercise, ask people for help, and do not apologize.
Right. You know, I
You
tell
have
people
friends
that.
and church members for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you might not get it 100% every time, but that's life.
Yes,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So good words, good words. So, you know, and coming at this as a caregiver, just looking at my notes here, we talked about caring for yourself, but I think the reality is sometimes we say, I don't have time to do that. You know,
Yeah.
I've got so much on me, but
Mhm.
is that true or is it not true? I
Mhm.
mean, your boundaries are an important part of,
For sure.
you know, mental health. How practical is that in a position like this?
Well, it's almost a trick question, Nancy, you've asked, because I'd hate to tell somebody who feels that they don't have time. You do have time,
Right.
because I'm not living their life. And a lot of those individuals are what they call the sandwich generation. They're
Mhm.
caring for children, they're caring for
Oh, yeah.
a spouse, or they're caring for a parent, and they're working. And that's a lot. What I would say is that if you really are in a place where you have no time for yourself, you need to call somebody and say, can you help me make a plan to get out of this situation in 2 months?
Yeah.
Meaning, can you help me find a respite worker? Can you find me a babysitter? Can you find maybe even a volunteer, somebody who'd be willing to minister to my family?
Mhm.
Will you get 2 other people to pray for me every day?
Mhm.
Like, you need to plan it out so that you are looking towards getting to a place of margin.
Yeah.
And again, we are so independent in our culture. We feel like we can't ask people for things like that.
Yeah.
But you need to ask for prayer.
Oh, yeah.
You need ideas. You need somebody to go scout other people to help you.
Absolutely. And there's a community out there. A lot of times people don't know that you need help. You know, it's
Yes.
so isolating, but I'm a firm believer in prayer.
Mhm.
That action, getting that word out there is
It's
there's a
priceless.
response.
Yes.
You know, there's a response when you do that. What about counselors in general? You know, I think people think about, yeah, this has to do with me, so maybe I'll go see a counselor. But if you're dealing with a loved one,
Mhm.
is it okay to go seek some help?
Hey, as a former counselor, counseling is the best thing ever. No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that exactly, but everybody needs counseling, in
Oh,
my
yeah.
opinion, because counseling is not just for the emergencies of life. Counseling is where you can go to get advice for things, to plan, to have somebody as a sounding board, to figure out a different way to see something, to rest your
Definitely.
mind, to
Mhm.
remember that you're not by yourself, to have an hour of peace and quiet, and hopefully what they call a trauma-informed space that's beautiful and peaceful. And so it can't do much but good for you.
Mhm.
And so whether you're trying to figure out a relationship issue, you know, how do I deal with maybe the person I'm caring for? Maybe they're mean.
Mhm.
Maybe they're verbally abusive to
Well,
you.
that happens sometimes with dementia.
It
Yeah.
sure does. Maybe they're just not themselves, and you're grieving while you watch them go slowly.
Yeah.
Maybe you're angry at God because of this. This is a place you can be completely yourself and honest
Mhm.
and be built back up again. So yes, and some people may not be able to afford counseling. There are some resources in Chattanooga that I know about where you can get free counseling.
Mhm.
And there's probably more than what I know about. So we'll talk about ways to kind of search those out.
Yeah. And as we mentioned early on in the show, want to put resources on the website for Integrate.
Yes.
And then if you have some other things that might help folks, I'm glad to do that. They know I love resources. So
they're life-saving.
yeah, I'm just a resource junkie. So you kind of touched on this a little bit before, but you talked about your own personal experience with your dad. And,
Yes.
you know, those things leave things with you.
Mhm.
What if you thought about it? What do you think What do you think that experience and more importantly, your dad has left with you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I'll be honest here to help somebody else be honest too.
Yeah.
But I remember praying, Lord, if it's just going to be this and worse of this, I don't mind if you just take him home. Because I know if he was in his right, clear mind, he would be like, take me home. I don't want to be this way. And he would be ready to go. So I prayed that. And a few months later, he did go. So I feel like we were all grieving and saying goodbye to him, which is often, that is the long goodbye of dementia. And I cried when he passed away. But I felt at peace, and I felt like I was able, the first few months, I wouldn't say that he died. I would say he went to heaven or something. It was hard for me to say the words. But eventually I was able to say the words, and I was able to just be grateful for the fact that I had him as long as I did, and that he was a great daddy, and he blessed so many people with his life, and that now he's in his right mind, he's happy, and he's whole. So just getting to that place and realizing again, like I like to say, some of us are cued to feel a certain way about death and to hold on to it in the negative and the dark. But there's light in death as well.
Yeah. That's that intentionality.
Yes.
You are in control of your brain, so you can make a decision to shift your perspective.
You sure can. And God made our brains to be neuroplastic and to change and to create new neurons or connections. Amazing. And it's what you focus your mind on. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've tried to focus on with my clients too is not just estate planning, but more of that circling back to legacy.
Yes.
Like you're so involved in the community. I mean, what do you want your legacy to be? And I see people that don't have children or the last one standing. And now they're considering more and more, what can I do for the community?
Yes.
And it's important.
We all need that, right? That's part of our development. When you get to that place of maturity as a human, maybe 50s, 60s on up, you are thinking about others. And if you don't have children, I'm in that boat. I don't have children.
Well, I've got stepkids. So
I didn't know that.
Kids. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And a godson that God brought to me. So
that's
I'll have him on the show someday.
That's awesome. And I do have 10 nieces and nephews.
Oh, there you go.
They're awesome. But one of the things I chose to do was to foster. I fostered, I was a respite and emergency placement foster mom for a year and a half. I was not able to continue, but I intend to return to it when my schedule is more open. But that was a way I wanted to pour into children who needed it. And then also working with the homeless and trying to see what I can do for those who are overlooked and often forgotten or even unseen. I think people think about them, but they don't really see them or see what their needs are. I don't know what to do to help. So how can I impact that and inform people and pull them in and engage them?
So true. So true. You are such a fearless woman, passionate women. I like supporting women. Yes. I'm the only woman in my partnership. So
I may be reckless. I definitely feel fear sometimes.
Well, okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to forget, actually two things. So how can someone connect with you? If they see this and they want to find out more about what you're doing, and how they can get involved.
Well, I would start with my Facebook page. That is Tabi R. Upton. And of course, the link is probably beneath us right now. But you can go there, you can follow me. And I like to post sometimes resources, things that I'm doing, and other links to the communities that I'm involved in. And then I don't mind you emailing me. You can email me at tabiupton@gmail.com as well. And I'd love to interact with you there and find out how I can see what your needs are, what your desires are, and how you want to get involved in the community.
Yeah, I went to an event recently, and we've got another one coming up. But it is so fun to hear people and hear what questions they have or what they're thinking about. Not just fun, engaging. I guess I don't mean fun per se. I mean it.
Maybe inspiring and uplifting.
Yeah. Just, part of that, knowing what others are thinking about and trying to work through it.
Yeah.
So
that's
positive stuff.
So many people have gifts and they don't know how to use the gifts or where to plug those gifts in. Mm-hmm. I'm here for you. If you're bored, I got something for you.
I know you do. Okay. And I'm going to say it wrong now, but your healthcare, mental health care counseling.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then how can we find out more about that?
Yeah, so I am not practicing right now, but I do advocate for Integrate Christian Counseling. They are right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. If you're not in Chattanooga, I believe they do some Zoom and what they call telehealth sessions, but they provide regular mental health for just about anything: depression, anxiety, family issues, change of life issues. So that would include the aging process and working with your family and those entanglements that sometimes we find ourselves in. They also do spiritual formation, which is helping you plug into your relationship with God during the seasons of life. And they have some really cool things like neural feedback that helps people focus better, helps you work through ADHD issues and fatigue and hormonal changes that happen to us as we age. They also will come to your church and speak, or your place of business, and help you with stress management and things like that. So they're a wonderful resource. And you can find them online as well.
Okay. And we'll put that information online too, so that if you're wanting to get in touch with them or find out more, or even getting in touch with you, Tabi, we can put that information out there. So I did want to mention one thing to my folks out there. You know how I feel about scams. And there was some information that came out this week that I just wanted to pass along. I had 4 different banks contact me this week because of scams.
Wow.
It is just pervasive.
Yes.
Pervasive. And I just want to remind people out there again, I bring it up a lot, but it's just, I had another client come in this past week that had been scammed. He thought it was his bank.
Yes.
And it was this bank's phone number. So
they're very sophisticated.
Yeah. So just a reminder, and I do want to talk about some other things coming up, not this show, but, coming up. So just be mindful of that. And I've got resources for scams and scam prevention online too. So I'm going to ask you to dig deep, which I don't think is going to be hard for you, but what do you want to leave somebody with? If there's something and they're in the midst of this really war in a lot of ways, emotional, physical, demanding place.
Yes.
What would you have them meditate on or think about through that?
That's good.
A hard question, but
yeah, we are in an age where so many people feel pressed, alone, and anxious, because it's coming at you from all angles, from whether the political climate, it doesn't even matter which side you're on, there's something going on that is bothering you probably in the world, natural disasters, the economy, and then your own personal life and what's happening in your own family or your lack of a family. Those are pressures too. And what I always ask people to do when they feel overwhelmed, they feel like they're drowning, is to do the first simple thing. It can feel like so big, but if you'll just take a small bite out of it, and that could mean taking an hour's nap today. You know what I'm saying? That's a small thing. Booking a massage if you can. If you can't afford a professional, maybe a student massage. I used to get those all the time. They were so cheap to get. You can look at massage schools, calling a friend and saying, hey, I just need you to say something encouraging to me right now. If you have that type of friendship. And hey, meditating on scriptures that are uplifting. Psalm 91.
Absolutely.
I heard of a woman who would go on a walk every day for 10, 15 minutes, and she would listen to Psalm 91 about being sheltered by the Almighty and his wings covering you and protecting you from danger. She meditated on that and meditated on it, and it lifted anxiety from her. So just start with those simple things that you can be in control of. and see if you then have the strength to take the next step.
Wonderful, wonderful word. And what you put in there is, that's important.
It is important.
So, Miss Tabi, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to have you back.
Well, I'd be honored to come back. Thank you so much for allowing me to come in and talk.
Oh, yeah, anytime. Well, we're going to have to come up with some other ideas. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot out there.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, she is a wonderful woman, so deep, so involved, and just precious woman in Christ. So.
Thank you.
And we seem to go to the same church too.
Yes.
So we got to like that.
We got to sit in the middle though, because we sit on opposite sides.
Yeah. We'll get bipartisan in church.
Be independent.
Yeah. So, well, but thanks for joining me, all you out there. And I hope you had a good weekend and a week ahead. And remember, if you have a question or there's something that you're thinking about that, you are looking for information on, reach out. I always want to hear from you. And it might make a great upcoming show. And there are a lot of episodes that I've already been through. I think 100 and something. I should know the number.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there may be something out there that's helpful to you. So I encourage you to look back at those things. And I will be back. So what about a blessing or a word of prayer for caregivers? What do you think?
Oh, that's great. Okay. I told her, you can do some things off the cuff with me since I've done radio. So I'll just do a prayer.
No, I'd love it.
Blessing.
I love it.
Well, Father, I just thank you so much for every person who's listening or watching who is a caregiver or who may become one or who has been one. Father, what they have done is sacrifice themselves, and they have done that out of love. And even when they didn't feel love, their actions were loving. And so I ask that you would just fill them with joy, that they would hear job well done, that they will know that they did what they could. And they probably think I could have done more, but it's okay. I just remember when Jesus said to the woman who poured out the perfume, she did what she could. That's what you're looking for from us. And so thank you so much for understanding us, for being gentle with us, for being a father who knows his children, and for never leaving us. And so help them to know that they're never alone as well. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will see you next week. Have a great week.